Today we're going to be talking about how to bridge the communication gap in the hybrid workplace. Hello, I'm Michael Robinson and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to click the subscribe button to be notified of upcoming shows. On this channel, we talk about everything relating to your career. Today, we're going to be talking about the hybrid workplace and this unspoken gap in communication that I see happening over and over and over again. Now, the hybrid workplace, as you know, is a format that started years ago, but certainly became a lot more prevalent during COVID. And what it means is that there's a portion of employees working from home and there's a portion working at the office. During COVID, that equation was a little bit more skewed to people working from home mostly, except for frontline workers who were on the job. But the workers from home these days are oftentimes at a disadvantage when it comes to communication, because there is a certain unspoken language in the office that is a disconnect for the individuals working in the home office. And we see that during Zoom calls, for example, when an employee is on a conference call and the staff is in the office, there's a synergy within the office environment that you can see as a third party with the way people interact with each other and speak to each other versus those on a conference call, Skyping in or Zooming in to that weekly staff meeting. And there's a sense that the person on the conference call is like an outsider almost and isn't part of the conversation. The basic solution is to recognize that if you're working from home, you are at a disadvantage. Yes, it gives you freedom of sorts. Yes, it gives you a lot more mobility in terms of how you structure your day and time, but now you are disconnected from the workforce. You're actually an outsider looking in, and you want to change that narrative. So the key thing to do is, usually meetings are on a weekly basis, maybe once a week. Go into the meeting, volunteer to be a part of the physical space when you're there, so that you can be seen and heard in real time. Because it does impact the way people see you, it does impact the way your boss relates to you, and it does impact how you are viewed in terms of a value-added asset to that department. The second thing you should do is have ideas. Make sure you research stuff before and always interject. Don't be afraid to say what you think. Maybe you have a different perspective on how things can be done, or different ideas that are valuable to that department that nobody has thought about before, or maybe they have talked about it and not implemented it. So voice your opinion, have something to say. Number 3, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask a question. There's nothing too silly to ask. So even if you think, well, I have nothing to contribute to this because I really don't know what to say, there's always a question you can ask, right? Something that's relevant to the topic. Maybe you want clarification on something that somebody said. Maybe you want to even ask a question based on what you heard on the news. Maybe trends that are happening in the community, in the line of business you're in. So ask questions. People love knowing that you're not just a body sitting there, but you are an active participant of the meeting. Number 4, don't be afraid to make suggestions. No one is going to hate you for it. In fact, it is an opportunity to put your ideas out there, because employers love to know that employees are engaged and part of the dynamics of that company. So make suggestions. Think about what you can do, what they can do to make things better within your work environment, and speak up. It makes you relevant, it makes you seen, it makes you heard, and it makes you viable. Number 5, talk to your supervisor or the person leading that meeting. Maybe you can present something. Maybe you can present some sort of a reporting or facts, or present the idea that you wanted to bring up in the meeting beforehand, and ask if you can present that idea during that meeting. Because now it makes you engaged and part of the conversation and a keynote speaker, right? If you have something to say that is relevant and interesting, that maybe it could be a situation that you're following up from a week before that you had actually brought up in a meeting, or 2 weeks before. So don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to provide suggestions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And don't be afraid to say thank you, or to acknowledge when someone has provided something to the meeting that is valuable to your work life and valuable to the company. It's always a great idea to say, thanks, John, that was a great idea. It also engenders a feeling of goodwill with your staff members. If you're actually acknowledging what somebody has done or did, even though you might be a little bit jealous inside, but always acknowledge when someone has done something great within your company. And don't be afraid to say congratulations, or great job, or that's a great idea. One of the things that I like to see in a company is a team of individuals who come to meetings and who not just present ideas and ask questions, but they have a certain passion for either the job or the company or the business model that we have. And the passion can come across from the person's energy. It doesn't have to be a situation where the person is asking questions all the time or talking every 5 minutes, but you can see in their eyes and their faces that they're actually passionate or interested or engaged, or they care about the company, right? So be passionate, be engaged, be interested, look into the camera if you're actually working from home. If you're at the office, if you're actually in the meeting, look like you're interested. Don't slouch and write in your book all the time, but stay engaged. There's nothing more interesting for an employer than having someone working for him or her who is passionate about what is happening in that department, or who is passionate about his or her job, right? And that comes across in many different ways. It's an unspoken energy that you give out, right? It could be just the fact that you're just engaged in the conversation or the meeting, or you're listening intently and you're actually actively a part of the conversation, and you're not just, tapestry in the background, that's drifting into the esters, but you are present. And you're present in terms of your facial expression, in terms of your eye contact, in terms of your lack of a frown, smile on your face. Those things are important. So be engaged, be passionate, be active in your meetings, because it is a way of actually being noticed. People tend to gravitate towards you if your face is a little bit more welcoming, right? Versus if somebody is frowning, or they're looking away, or rolling their eyes, or writing in a notepad constantly. Certainly be a part of the conversation and not a distraction to the meeting. That helps tremendously. And number 7, don't be the first one to leave the meeting. If you're actually in the room physically, or if you're on the screen zooming in, don't be the first to leave. It's a good idea to wait a little bit and then gradually exit the meeting. Because if you're so anxious to leave, then I think you're either bored or that you're not interested. So it's nice to stick around a little bit and even be a part of the banter if people are actually talking post-meeting. Usually they're talking about something work-related or otherwise. It's nice to be a part of that conversation. Because at the end of the day, remember, the work environment is a community. It's a community of people that have gotten together based on skill sets to work for this particular company in this particular department. And it's a culture and a community of folks who actually are there to get something done, and therefore you want to be a part of that. Because being a part of a community means that you're being relevant, you're being seen, you're being heard, and you're actively participating in the process of moving the agenda of that community forward. And therefore it gives you a leg up when it comes to being recognized for promotions or salary increases moving forward. So until next time, don't forget to click the subscribe button to be notified of upcoming shows. And remember, I say think like an entrepreneur and you'll succeed in your career. And the reason why we talk about this all the time is because it's about being proactive. It's about thinking outside the box. It's being able to create platforms and ideas and solutions to help your company and to move your career forward is the key to making sure that you're going to be successful in whatever. Until next time, I'm Michael Robinson. Be well.